welcome back to my channel. It's Jing. So this is the first week of our challenge giveaway with TokyoFinds. So for today's week, we will learn how to make these easy watercolor flowers that you might need in your next project. So we're going to use all the Tokyo products that they have sent me. The Bento Picasso watercolor set of 90. This watercolor paper of 300 GSM. So this is the large version that they have in the journal. Also, I will use this TokyoFinds and brushes set of 5. And aside from that, of course, we need the clean water, this tissue for blotting, and of course, a mixing palette. So if you guys are interested to join the giveaway, I will put the Instagram post below so you will be guided. It's a beautiful day to learn something new. Let's get started.
So in this part, I'm going to prepare our paint. So our first flower will be rose. So I'm going to add more water on it to create a lighter color. So I'm going to start with the very thin curving lines using the tip of our pointed round brush. And as you can see, I begin to add a little more pressure to our brush as I drag it across the page, which gives us a larger brush stroke at some point. Okay, so we're just going to do this and repeat the steps, and when you're finally happy with the shape, you can either choose to wait until the flower dries up to add some details, or you can add it while it is still wet. So to add some details, you just need to remember that the paint should be of a higher tonal value or of a darker pigment so as to give definition to your flower. This will also help to make this look lively because the color is changing slightly. So in this part, we're going to paint leaves, although we will also tackle this on the next video. But leaves are just fun to paint because you only just need 1 or 2 brush strokes using the belly of your brush. So you just need to drag it across the page maybe once or twice, and then you can use the tip of the brush to define the shape or the edges of the leaves. So you can also use it to put little stems, which I love the most. So for the next flower, we're going to paint peonies, and it will be a mixture of 3 colors. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white for this and a little bit of yellow ochre, just so we could produce a peachy-like color for our peonies. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just using the belly of the brush and the tip, and I either pull it towards me or push it away from me. So I'm going to create this very loose petals. There will be just 1 or 2 strokes to create it, and don't stress yourself too much. If you feel that you want to add a little width to it or change the shape slightly, you can do it. And just like here, I'm just playing with my brush. Just do whatever you want it to be. This will be our stamen, and I'm just going to drag some petals here on top. This will be our other petals, and as you can see, I don't really follow specific method for the strokes because flowers in nature don't really have specific shapes, so it will really be up to you. So I'm going to add here just stamen, and I'm going to get this grass green, so this will be our leaf. another flower will be 5 flower petal. So this has been the common flower of all, I guess. And as you can see, I just use 1 or 2 brush stroke to achieve this. It doesn't need to be perfect. As you can see, I'm going to use my red orange. This is pure pigment with no water for the center of the flower. And as you can see, I did put some little lines to refine the shape and also add details for the flower. So for me, details are important because as you can see, it makes the flower more lively and more colorful. Okay, so this is another 5 petal, but this is opening upwards. So I'm just going to start with 1 petal with few strokes. So these are the side petals. As you can see, I just did it through the belly of my brush, and this one is through the tip of the brush. I either pull it towards me or push it away from me. And I just did again a darker pigment for the center. So this one is raw amber. I'm just going to use it for this stem. And we're going to create another petal here. So again, 1 or 2 brush strokes. But the difference for this is there will be a petal that looks like it is opening upwards. I'm just going to show you once more. We're just going to put some branches in it, and we're going to compile them together. We're just going to get the olive green, and we're just going to do again 1 stroke leaf around here. So our fifth flower will be made from 2 painting techniques, which is the wet to dry technique and the wet to wet technique. So basically, when we say wet to dry is wet paint that will be put in a dry surface or dry paper, and wet to wet technique is basically wet paint to wet surface. This one, as you can see, this is a wet paint that I put on a dry surface. So this is the most common techniques, and I really like it to be juicy and watery. And I'm going to use a darker pigment. So this is a wet to wet technique because I use a wet pigment on a wet surface. So another wet to wet technique is this one. I'm going to load my brush with water alone, and then I'm going to add pigments on it. I'm going to use the tip of my brush to refine the shape. And while I'm letting this to dry up, so I'm just going to get my crimson plus carmine color. So we're going to make berries. Berries are actually good, especially when you are using this as a filler. So I'm just going to add some branches here. It doesn't need to be perfect. Imperfection is beautiful. And paint whatever you feel like. Like I've got my colors mixed up like this carmine and vermilion. So I'm just going to add this in circular motion. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just go with how you want it to be. Okay, so for our 7th flower, so I'm just going to get this vermilion color, and we're just going to do some flower buds. So it could be peonies buds, it could be rose bud. Okay, so as you can see, I just did 1 or 2 strokes, and I'm just going to cover the end of it and put some little dots on top of it. So this one, again, just going to draw curved lines on top and fill it with little dots on top. So now that this 3-petal flower has already been dried, so I'm just going to put some branches here, little stems. Just like flowers, leaf doesn't have to be perfect as well. So this is Van Dyke Brown. And now I'm going to use this Viridian to paint some thin but long leaves. Start from the tip down to belly and then release to the tip. So I'm going to use this ultramarine plus violet because we want a very pigmented color. Our last flower is lavender. So I'm just going to start with very loose dots, but this time I diluted it with more water, going to soften the tip. So this time we'll do the final touches or the details. So for this one, you just need a darker pigment. It may be brown. Just draw some thin lines and then at the top of it, draw some dots. So for this 3-petal flower, I decided to detail it with little dots. For this flower bud, I'm just going to add a more darker pigment here. And of course, for our peonies, I'm going to darker this part. I'm going to add some dots above, and that's it. It's a wrap for this tutorial. So I hope you guys learned something from this. If you like this tutorial, like this video, turn the notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. If you wanted to join the giveaway, I will put the mechanics in the description box for you to follow. That's it, and see you on our next tutorial, which is the basic leaves painting. Bye!